today we're going to be talking about how we can get planting material from your grocery store. And I actually did a trip to the co-op. So most counties and cities have some kind of food co-op where they have like lots of different really organic produce and other things like that. So of course, you know me, I'm always planting the seeds for my fruit. So don't be afraid of planting apple seeds. You will get apple trees. Now, they might not be the same fruit. After 15 years, it will take, like 15, 20 years before you get your fruit. But you will get an apple tree out of that seed. But what I'm really excited to show you is some things that you might not have thought about. You may have thought about growing ginger from the tubers at the grocery store. It's especially helpful if it's organic, but you can plant whatever you have. And if you notice on this particular, I want to call it a hand, these rhizomes here, you can see that there are multiple sprouting buds. So this piece here, and I can actually divide it into multiple pieces to get multiple plants out of this. I like growing ginger as a house plant. I made the mistake before of planting it outside in a pot, and then I forgot to bring it in when it got colder. So if you want to plant it in a pot outside, remember that these are tropical plants and you do need to bring them in when it's cold, especially at nighttime when the temperatures really dip down. But this right here is a beautiful one to do because of all the sprouting. So you can actually take this piece and break off all of these different nodes and then let it I like to let it heal over a day or two, and then I'll plant them in each their own pot of soil. And whatever I have left that doesn't have nodes, I will use for food. So you can grate it up, you can add it to stir fries, soups, you can make herbal teas, all kinds of great uses for it. So some of this will be culinary, but most of it will be plant material. Here we have some turmeric, and I do like to get the turmeric, the liquid that you get at Costco, and I drink it, a little shot of it every day, and it makes me just, on the days I have it, I feel invigorated and alive. So I want to grow a lot of this. When I've been buying this recently at the Asian markets and other places too, a lot of it seems to have been maybe frozen at some point, but this piece here seems not to have been frozen. So I'm really happy, and I will be planting this. I'm going to wait a little bit though. That way I can see some good nodes. And when I see that happening, I'll break off the pieces that I want to plant, and whatever I have left, I will use in our cooking. One of the first things I grew from the store was when I was going through my pantry and I found a bag of garbanzo beans or chickpeas. And they were past expiration date, and I thought, well, they're expired. What harm would it do if I plant them? At the very worst, they would go back to the organic matter in the soil and feed the worms and other microbes and stuff that are living in there. And I was pleasantly surprised. The seeds that I planted were actually supposed to be like 2 or 3 years past their expiration date, and they grew. So that got me thinking, and I did actually get a crop out of them. And my husband likes to eat them raw. So not like this, but when they're green on the plant, they have like a little lantern around it, a little pod. You pop the pod open, it looks like a little mouse brain, which is kind of interesting and fun. A little green mouse brain. And yeah, and they are actually really delicious and nutritious. If you are trying to prep for a zombie apocalypse or whatever you are thinking about, I don't believe in zombies, obviously, but you never know with food security. If you look at the nutritional, actually the caloric count for different kinds of peas, beans, lentils, and other things like that, the highest caloric content appears to be in garbanzo beans or chickpeas. So this would be a very good crop for food security. And this is organic seed that I got at the co-op, which is even better than buying it from the store because a lot of things are going GMO. This is not a traditional store. It's just like a co-op that has a lot of vegan choices. I'm not vegan, but they have a lot of organic things. Almost everything is labeled non-GMO and organic at this particular store. So I got these, and they are kind of on the expensive side, but if you're considering it as seed, instead of like, I'm going to go home and make a soup from this, then it's a really good deal for seed. I also got black garbanzo. Let's see those. So these are the black garbanzos. They are considerably smaller, but they're really interesting. And if you're talking about like gray man crops, somebody might pop open a pod and see this and think that they're bad or they're rancid or not edible. And so if you're doing gray man's crop in your garden, this might be a way to trick people into not stealing your food. So they probably also have other nutritional facts. I might do some research and add it here if I find some better stuff. But a lot of things that are really dark in color have different nutritional makeup than things that are very light in color. So I'm really happy with finding these because you can buy seed packets that are very pricey. I'll try to find the price for this, but this was from my local food co-op, and this is the black garbanzo beans. I got some other ones I need to show you too. These are the cannellini white kidney beans. These are black beans, I love black beans. They're my favorite in pupusas. Very, very good. These are dark red kidney beans, which my favorite would be to use these in chili. We have adzuki beans. And these are cranberry beans, which remind me a lot of pinto beans, but they're much prettier. And they're a little bit bigger. Cranberry. I did also get some black quinoa. And they have several different areas in my co-op. They have a whole wall of bulk, but they also have several aisles with end caps that have more bulk. And when I was looking around, I found something very, very special besides the black quinoa. Now, I've seen seeds similar to this. Look how long they are. This is a kind of rice. This is actually North Bay wild rice, Canadian Lake, and they were $12.99 a pound. But if you were going to buy these as seed, it would be so much more. Look at the size of those grains and the color too. So these are not the kind that you would want to store for a long time because wild rice can go rancid more quickly, but they're also very nutritious. So I do want to try growing these, and I told you guys before, I have a lake property that I can't technically build on, but it has water property. And so I'm going to do an experiment where I plant some of these wild rice like in the marshy area. I'm also going to try it in buckets, and I'm also going to try it almost dry land style and do a comparison experiment of those three. I have something else to show you that's very similar. One downside I already noticed is that they're very fragile. Each individual seed is easily broken, and any broken pieces are not going to grow. But let's look at the other variety. This one here is very similar. This one's the Minnesota wild rice. And they're very long pieces as well, but they're not as long as the previous one. This is another black wild rice, and each individual grain is long, but just not as long as the other variety. So this is the Minnesota wild rice. It's a lot cheaper. It's almost half the price. But imagine the value of these as seed. So this is the price of buying it for food, right? Which is very expensive if you buy it that way. But if you're buying it as seed, it's really, really cheap. Let's look at a different kind. This variety is about the same size as traditional white rice, but it's black. And this one is the kind that's called forbidden rice. This one I'm really excited about. I'm not afraid of breaking it when I move it in my hand. It's still going to go rancid faster than white rice because of all the good stuff in here. There's so much more health benefit from the black rice. So I'm going to try growing this as well. I'm going to try growing it in buckets as well as semi-dry land, but just watering it very, very well. We'll see how it does. I'm going to definitely do videos on growing the rice. I also did buy a type of dryland rice from another place that I will grow in their specified growing procedures. So I'll show you all of them, and I'll show you, is it better to grow from the grocery store or the co-op, or to buy more expensive seed, or is it the same? So forbidden rice, and I got this. This one I didn't write down the price, but it was a lot cheaper than the other kind, the long grain. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? And let's look at what else I have. I did also buy some oats because I do want to grow my own like oatmeal and stuff, and sprout it. You could use sprouted oats for food, I would imagine, as well as other things. And I also have animals. So I will be looking into all the different ways I can use this and how to process it or mill it or whatever I need to do. But I will be growing this because they're whole and they haven't been processed. I will be able to grow these. The final thing I got from the produce area of the co-op are these, and this one here is a very large potato. These are purple potatoes. They're organic. And when you buy sprouts for potatoes like this, they're very expensive. Or if you buy the seed potatoes for these, are very pricey. At a co-op, I would say buying this for food is very expensive. But if you're buying it as seed, comparably, it's a good deal. And I had it in a box at room temperature, and it wasn't sprouting when I got them. But I had them in a cardboard box in a dark area for like a week. And they're already sprouting. Look at that. Okay. And on this one here, it has multiple eyes or sprouts. So this one here, I'm gonna let them keep growing the sprouts. I'm gonna get a couple plants out of this one, probably 3. Now this one, I might get maybe 5, maybe more. You do like to have a nice like 2-inch section of your seed potato. When you cut them apart, you want to have 1 or 2 eyes. 2 is safer. And I might go like 4 on this one, because I always like to have a really nice healthy plant. Okay, like if I cut it right through here, then this part here would be one plant, and then this right here would be another plant. But cutting that close, I might decide to keep that piece together. This right here would be another plant. This is another one, right? This is another one. And then towards the top, there's another one. So, and it's nice and dense and heavy, which is the kind of potato you want to grow. So I've been seeing, and I'm not saying not to buy them, but I've been seeing people trying to grow really tiny, adorable potatoes, which is the reason why it's culinary and gourmet, is because it's kind of wasteful in the amount of space you're using to get a very small crop. So people who are very wealthy can afford to pay for really expensive tiny potatoes. Now, when you're growing larger potatoes, you can always harvest them young. They call them new potatoes. You can harvest them younger when they're less mature. But I really want to have potatoes that get nice and big and dense. And also, this purple color is going to be much more healthy than a white variety. In other countries of the world, people do not eat really just the same plain old potatoes that we do in America or in the United States. They're eating yellow and orange and white and pink and red and blue and purple potatoes, which is very unusual for us in the States. I also did buy a couple bags of smaller potatoes that were mixed colors from US Chefs, which used to be, what was it? Cash and Carry. So Cash and Carry and US Chefs is basically all the same stuff, but they like rebranded or something, or got bought out. I'm not sure, but they still have the same products. And I got 2 bags of potatoes. They look like new potatoes. They're little babies. And they only have a few blue or purple per bag, a few pink, and then a bunch of white. So I'm going to be picking out the colorful ones and growing those. And then we'll eat the little white ones. Okay, because I want larger potatoes, but I will be willing to use those newer potatoes I'm not sure how big they're going to get though, right? Because I don't know if they're new potatoes or if that's the maximum size. So, but this to me is worthwhile, especially with food insecurity, right? So you want things that are nutrient dense and calorically dense in your garden. That's going to be really helpful for um I don't want to sound alarming or like I'm an alarmist, but there are going to be times where people might not be able to get a lot of food. So to be frugal, to maximize your yields, maximize your smaller spaces, growing potatoes that are going to potentially be nice, big, solid potatoes that are really full of antioxidants and potassium, like really nutrient dense. I want to get the biggest I can. And this feels like, I don't know, it's really dense. Like it's heavier than another potato this size. So that's really exciting. So I'm super excited about growing these potatoes and my ginger and my turmeric. And of course, I always grow whatever I have. I'm going to eat these apples. These are from Washington State. And so that's kind of nice. They're also organic. And all these different grains I got, all the grains and beans, they're all organic because I went to a store that only sells organic things. So you can grow your produce. You can grow it from the store, but I'm much more concerned now with GMO crops and all the different pesticides they're using that inhibit growth. You still can do it, but I want to have non-GMO organic produce in my family's pantry and cupboards and garden, and I hope that you do too. So, be good, be sweet, and grow a garden if you want to eat. I'll see you on the next video, everybody. God bless, and see ya.